Aljazeera, Goma, in the Democratic Republic of Congo.
Well, the role of Rwanda in the eastern DRC has been extremely controversial over the years, with the Kagame government accused of supporting a succession of rebel groups in North and South Kivu. Well, let's talk now to Kambale Musavuli of the advocacy group Friends of the Congo. He joins us now from Chicago. Sir, thank you so much for joining us here on Al Jazeera. Now, many of the tensions that were at the heart of the genocide in Rwanda are still, to a much lesser extent, still being played out in the DRC. In light of that, is it perhaps not really much of a surprise that Rwanda still tries to be involved, especially in the eastern of the DRC, effectively using North and South Kivu as a kind of buffer for its own security?
First, it's unfortunate what happened in Rwanda. Today we are commemorating the 20th anniversary. But what we have to always remember, the Rwandan genocide that took lives of 800,000 Rwandans should not be an excuse for the invasions of Rwanda into the Congo that have now unleashed the deaths of millions of Congolese and still no accountability for the crimes that have taken place. And that's what the Congolese people hope for. We hope for justice and accountability and an end to invasions by neighboring countries.
We've seen a report from the UN finding evidence of Rwanda's involvement in the DRC, but ultimately, don't you also think it's one of the reasons is the weakness of the government of the DRC to control the East, which means that Rwanda is not really going to willingly separate itself from that conflict?
Yeah, but the conflict is around mineral resources and control of the land in the East. Yes, Congo has weak institutions that does not condone behaviors of neighboring countries to continuously support militia groups. I think the international community now is very clear of what Rwanda is doing. Now, 20 years later, like I say, we've had 800,000 Rwanda who have died. The Congolese are still suffering. I think that for the region to move forward, at least for the Rwandans, we should have Rwandans who are in Congo safely returned to the country. Those who committed a crime should be tried and find some sort of transitional justice in the country. Second, there need to be put pressure on Rwanda and Uganda to stop supporting invasions in the Congo. They need opening up of the political space. In Rwanda, we're speaking about Rwanda genocide survivor, the Omo Shahidi, who's a political prisoner in Rwanda. We have Victoire Ingabire, who's also a political prisoner. So Rwanda does have problems within the country that's being extrapolated or sometimes even exported into the Congo. Congo should not be suffering from Rwanda's problem. It's a regional problem. We can bring about peace, but we need to hold the Rwandan government accountable that is led by Rwandan President Paul Kagame at the moment.
You mentioned holding the government accountable, putting pressure on it as well. A lot of Western donors have either cut or suspended their aid to Rwanda. Do you think that that is the way to go? Do you think that that has had enough of an impact on Rwanda's involvement?
Well, it stopped the M23 at some level. There are more things that need to be done, as I shared. The path for peace and stability in the region. There need to be safe return of Rwanda refugees into Rwanda. Those who committed the crimes need to, of course, be brought to justice, but most of them need to go back in their country. The second is to open up the political space. While the Western nations withheld aid to Rwanda around the M23 issue, what about the assassinations of the Rwandan government? There are allegations of the assassination of political opponents in South Africa and elsewhere. And even we had Rwandan refugees who live in the UK who were informed by the UK government that they were actually targeted by killers sent by the Rwandan regime. So we need to continue to put that pressure, open up the political space, release the political prisoner, which I mentioned, the Omo Shahidi, Bernard Tanganda, Victoire Ingabire. Those are Rwandan political leaders who want to see a change in the country, a democratic change in the country, and of course, stop the continuous interference of Rwanda and Uganda into the Congo, plundering the resources and causing the havoc. 20 years after the Rwanda genocide, we should say no to the crimes in the Congo.
Kambale Musavuli from the advocacy group Friends of the Congo, thank you for sharing your views with us.